If you played at any point during Witch Queen, you've probably already seen this build. When Void 3.0 first came out, so many people loved it. It might have been the gameplay or the exotics they used to pair with the builds, but Void is just, it was just amazing on all three characters in my opinion. This build I'm going to show you today, I made during late Witch Queen, but it was one of the best builds I've ever made in Titan in my opinion. But with Lightfall, a lot has changed. Some nerfs, changes to the structure of just the systems. The original build I used back then was Void Titan with Hardened Most Light and a Controlled Demolition with Bastion as aspects. This build basically destroyed all Grandmasters, Nightfalls, just any hard content you ever played. This build destroyed. The reason it was so good is from the accurate potential it had, the constant ability uptime it had, and the great survivability. Like I said, coming with Lightfall, a lot of stuff has gotten nerfed and everything has changed. And the one thing that definitely got nerfed from this build was Hoyle, Hardened Most Light. And basically what its perk is, it's Overflowing Light. Using the ability, Grenade, Melee, or Barricade empowers the other two abilities. Empowered means abilities have faster regen, melees and grenades do more damage, and barricades have more hit points. This was busted for so long. And basically what they did for the Hoyle nerf is they reduced the regeneration capabilities and the regeneration time from 10 seconds to 5 seconds. That really impacts this build in general and the ability uptime it had before. But with the mods that we have now and just the abilities and everything, it makes up for it. So before I show you the mods, the stats, the subclass, the weapons, etc., I'm going to talk about the goals of this build. But first, I just want to say thank you very much for the recent support and the 50 subscribers we hit recently. You guys are amazing and I can't wait to grow the channel with you guys. Alright, let's get to the build. So for the goals of this build, I want to have great survivability, great added potential, and as much ability regeneration as possible. And I know it got nerfed, but like I said before, the mods that we have will help this a lot. These goals will help structure the build and will allow others to take this kind of build into higher level content and stay alive and have accurate potential. So let's get into the aspects and the fragments to better understand where this build is coming from. So today we're on Sentinel Titan, Void subclass for Titan, and we're going to be using Ward of Dawn Super. We're going to be using Towering Barricade. You could use Rally Barricade if you would like, but I just like Towering just for more protection. I like the Catapult lift. You can really choose any lift you really want. This is just my preference. For this build, I'm using the Shield Throw. This just helps a lot with the cycle of the build and just the regeneration of each ability. You can go Shield Bash, but the only reason I would say use Shield Bash is if you're using offensive bulwark, which we'll get into soon. We're using the Vortex Grenade. You can really use any grenade you want though. Scatter Grenade's also really good. And also a Suppressor Grenade. This stuns Overload champions, so this is really good if you're doing higher level content. So for the aspects of this build, we're going to be using Bastion and Controlled Demolition. The reason we're using this is because I just like the instant overshield from the class ability. And then after that, after you pop that class ability, it just ties into your other abilities. So I just like this a lot, and it's just really good survivability in my opinion. So what Controlled Demolition does is hitting a target with a void ability or a volatile explosion makes them volatile. And what also that no one really understands from this aspect is when an enemy is volatile and they explode, it heals you and nearby allies around you. That is the main reason I'm really using this, and the explosions, because it's just satisfying to watch. But this aspect has so much survivability. No one uses it, and I do not know why. It is so good in my opinion. Instead of Bastion, you could probably use Offensive Bulwark if you like, just for the bonus grenade regeneration and for the melee damage. But I just like personally Bastion and Controlled Demolition because that's what I used beforehand, and it still feels amazing. For the fragments of this build, we're using Echo of Undermining, Echo of Starvation, and Echo of Cessation. The reason I'm using these three is because you want to weaken the targets with your grenades when you're cycling back with your Hoyle. I know it's a -20 also, but if you have decent stat armor that you can get from the Helm, there's many videos on it on YouTube. Just type in high stat armor farm or whatever, and you will find many videos over it. But that's how I really got 100 discipline, even with the -20. We're using Echo of Starvation because whenever you pick up a Void Breach or an Orb, you grant you Devour, which basically Devour is when you get a kill with Devour procced, your grenade recharges faster, and you heal to full health every time. Moving on to the last fragment, Echo of Cessation. So basically what this does is finish your violent blows, create a burst of void damage that causes nearby combatants to become volatile. That helps with high level content. And defeating volatile targets creates a void breach. What void breaches are, they call it a dimensional rupture, that when you pick it up, it gives you class ability energy. This really helps with the build and just the cycle of it, especially because when you have Bastion on, it reduces your class ability regeneration rate. So that's why we're using it for the bonus to ability energy and just for high level content. And for the instant health, healing, and for the grenade charges from Devour. For the middle fragment, when this season goes away and we lose volatile flow, which is when you pick up an orb, your weapons become volatile, you have volatile rounds. This build is amazing with volatile rounds in my opinion. You could probably play around it if you want to, but when this season goes away, I'm definitely switching from starvation to instability. This is just going to help a lot because starvation is very nice, yes, but I feel like you really don't need it because I'm going to be using a demo weapon, a demolitionist weapon, and basically your volatile explosions are just going to heal you constantly. So there's really no reason for this, but I just have it just for more survivability and ability uptime. But as you can see, I already made a build. Obviously I got to fix everything, but I already made a build for when this season goes away. So if I click it, so you can see I still have 100 discipline. I now have 80 strength and 100 resolve. While we're in stats, let's go into the stats. So the main stat you really want is 100 resolve. This gives you a 30% damage reduction, and this just helps your class ability regen a lot faster. Recovery is not needed at all. You do not need recovery with this build, since everything that you make volatile and explode, it just gives you health constantly. So there's really no reason to have any recovery. And then with this, you can build into the other stats that we mentioned very soon. The next stat, discipline. I recommend 100 discipline. I know an Echo of Undermining has -20, but try your best to get 100 discipline because this will help just for the regeneration rate and the cycle of your exotic. Intellect is really not needed since Bubble is one of the fastest recharging supers in the game. And strength is high as possible. Also, I can just only get 60 with the build I have, but this also helps with the cycle and the regeneration rate. And then obviously mobility for Titans is just not important to me. All right, let's move on to the mods. So for the helmet, obviously the stat mod for all 5 of these. I do a heavy ammo finder because I'm going to be using a machine gun with demolitionist in this build. So I have a heavy ammo finder for that, just to get as much heavy as possible. I have a harmonic siphon to give me orbs when I get multiple kills with a weapon. I have Ashes of Assets. When you get a grenade kill, it gives you more super energy. For the gauntlets, blistering detonation. When you throw a grenade, it grants you a class ability energy over time. There is a cooldown on this. I'm not sure exactly how much it is, but it's just a couple seconds. So make sure to throw it at a boss or a group of enemies, and you'll probably have it get procced twice. Momentum transfer. Causing damage with a grenade reduces your melee cooldown. This just helps with the cycle again and just have your abilities constantly. Firepower. This is bugged, and so if you see any gameplay, you will not see an orb. It says at the bottom left that an orb got created, but right now it is bugged. Not sure when it's going to be fixed, but I'm hoping next week or the week after, and then this build will basically be better. Charged up increases the maximum number of stacks of armor charge you can carry by 1, so now you can hold 4 stacks of armor charge. This is going to help in later on. And then these are just resist mods, whatever you please. We got Innovation. When you pick up an orb, it reduces your grenade cooldown. Also Invigoration. When you pick up an orb, it reduces your melee cooldown. I got Stacks and Stacks here. This is also going to help a lot with the build, and you'll see in the class item why I have this on. But basically when you pick up an orb, it gives you 2 stacks of armor charge right off the bat. So for the class item, I have Bomber, Utility Kickstart, and Reaper. Bomber is just so I can get my grenade faster. Utility Kickstart is just so I can get my class ability faster, since Bastion reduces the class ability energy by just having Bastion on. And I have Reaper, so whenever I pop my class ability, I get an orb on the next kill. This is really good. Here's the final overview of all the mods. Next, we'll go into the weapons. Really, you can use whatever weapons you'd like. I recommend obviously using a void weapon with this, since you're going to be getting a volatile rounds, so like funnel web or unforgiven from the duality dungeon. And with that, I would probably have like demo and frenzy, or probably demo or repulsor brace. You could have demo and golden tricorn. There's a lot of roles on that. If you're looking for a specific role or just like one of the specific things, go onto d2foundry.gg. That has all the weapons. Just type in unforgiven and you can see all the stats and everything like that. But I use mostly funnel web with subsistence and frenzy. This is really good. Also, I use corrective measure. It doesn't have to be time loss, but I just like the time loss version. And I luckily got demolitionist and one for all. You can also use firefly if you want. This still procs demolitionist when you're using it. But this is gonna be my main ad clear build and all that. Whenever I'm using a machine gun, I tend to use either conditional finality or is it Onyx Burden. Do not have that character, but hard hitting specials that just help a lot with boss damage or whatever. So for the artifact mods, the main ones you really want to have is volatile flow. I say authorize grenades just to get the reduced on the cost for your armor for grenades mods. Also, bricks from Brion is really good. Whenever you get a kill with a void weapon, it has a chance to create heavy ammo for you and your teammates. This is really good, especially for the build I'm going for. And also, you could do probably authorize mods void if you have a lot of void mods, like surges, if you choose to use that. Alright, that's it for the structure of the build. So now let's get into the gameplay loop. Oh my god, why are you yawning so much? I don't understand that. So basically, with this build, obviously I'm using the demolition weapon. I pop my class ability, I get an orb from it. This starts the cycle, throw a grenade. Whenever you see a big group of enemies, you see the void breaches right here, right there. Just pick them up, get a class ability energy. My grenade recharges really fast. Already got my class ability back. So with all of this kind of build and this like rotation and just like the mods I have for this, the class ability would take so long to recharge, and it's honestly insane how long it takes to recharge now. But with this, it recharges very fast and it's very nice. We already have half it and I just used it. A lot of volatile explosions. I'm constantly at 100 HP because the volatile explosions just heal me every time. And obviously the overshield also helps. Throw overshield down, get my grenade, throw it. I will show you also how the explosions heal me. Let me get my grenade back. 2 kills to get my grenade back. So I'll get weak. Like I actually hit their shots. Alright, got weak. Get a kill. Or just hits. Look how much health. And if I had volatile rounds, because the grenade would have made a thing right there. So let's get hit again. 10 seconds. Hopefully they actually hit their shots. Okay, yep. Alright, it kills, back up full HP instantly. And that was just for the volatile rounds. And also within volatile rounds you get anti-barrier intrinsically, so you can pierce anti-barriers. And it's just really good at clear. And just damage in general. Just keep throwing, keep cycling. Whenever you get your abilities back, just basically just throw it. Get your class ability back faster. I already have my class ability. See, I got it before the other one even ran out. Constant explosions. Another void breach. So, unless you're using a special, obviously the machine gun, it does a decent amount, especially with volatile rounds. But for like bosses, like big bosses, it's gonna be kind of hard to obviously do more damage than other people. But This build is basically just for like nightfalls, in my opinion, and just clearing counters that you really need a lot of ad clearance survivability from. I don't know how that didn't hit that guy. But yeah, Devour is very nice for sure. And also, just to mention, I will have a dim link in the video description for this build. I know someone mentioned it last video. I completely forgot to do that, and I forgot that was a complete thing because I don't use dim anymore for loadouts, especially. So I just use it in game now since the new loadout system came out. But yeah, I will have that in the video description. I'll mention that again at the end of the video. My class ability. So you see my bubble. I'm probably gonna pop my bubble to kill this guy. Get the orb, get volatile rounds. So without Devour, and when this season is gone and you don't have the volatile rounds or volatile flow from the artifact, we would do instead to get volatile rounds is you would have instability on as a fragment, echo of instability. You get a grenade kill, and your weapons that will have volatile rounds for that limited time. And also next season, Void Breaches and Fire Sprites and Stasis Shards and Tangles will all give you armor charges. It will be a chance to give you armor charges. So this will also help play back into the armor charge system and your barricade. For higher level content like Grandmasters, I would definitely recommend having a demo weapon with you. Just because the ability regen time for Hoyle is just not enough to get your grenade back, even with 100 discipline. So, a demo weapon just like Corrective Measure or Unforgiven would be decent, I think. Yeah, whatever demo weapon you really enjoy. It doesn't have to be a void weapon, but it was always good to have it. Void, so you can get the volatile runs as well. But again, you don't need to have that because you have controlled demolitionists. Constant explosions, constant orbs. Everything just feels really good in my opinion for this build. Basically, I just test stuff until things just feel good. So for this build, I think everything just flows very nicely. The only drawback to this build is you need to have, I mean, I guess you really don't need to, but it's really nice to have a demo weapon with everything. But yeah, that's basically it for the build. It's probably the best void build I've ever made. What you've seen today really was an outer shell of how good this build was in Witch Queen. It was insane. If you guys enjoyed this build and just want more content like this and more builds, please like and subscribe. I will be moving on to Warlock very soon. That'll probably be my next character. Probably gonna do an Arc Titan next though, and then do Warlock. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and also there'll be a dim link in the description, but make sure to go follow my TikTok also, because I will be posting the builds and just summaries of the builds on there, and also just other content that people, especially newcomers to this game, might enjoy. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a great day.